we go. All right. It's 8 o'clock. Can y'all see me and hear me? And I'm seeing on Mousetrap, Mortimer, Judy, too many to mention, 5x5s. But okay, good. You guys can see me get a little straighter there. I was a little crooked. Yeah. All right. Happy Tuesday night, guys. Here we are again. 220th show on this channel Tuesday night. Unbelievable. Crazy. We're doing this for 5 years at this point, but we're here again. So hopefully everybody is hanging in there after all the expansions on the riots today. I guess we've now hit Chicago, Miami, Dallas, St. Louis, Milwaukee. Trying to remember what other ones there were, but yes, we're getting more and more crazy. So again, I will beg and plead with everybody, please stay safe out there. We have a minuscule portion of our country that is unhinged lunatics. I saw a video today on some guy in California saying, this is Mexican territory. It was our country once. It's always going to be our country. No, doesn't work that way. Sorry. Your comments don't mean anything. There's contracts where land is sold and stuff like that. Land is conquered. Things like that happen. Trust me, you're not going to want to be trying to conquer it. So not going to work there. Of course, you have more from Claudia Sheinbaum down in Mexico saying, oh, the poor illegals, all they're doing is trying to better their lives by going to the United States, taking your money and sending it down here so we can keep our economy afloat. As I said, remittances from the United States are the number 2 contributor to the Mexican GDP. I'll let you figure out what the number 1 contributor is. But yeah, that's the big thing going on in the world that everybody's paying attention to. I'm assuming you guys have questions on other stuff. Finally getting some nice days here. It was actually 79 today, but I didn't get a chance to enjoy it. I had my lovely 6-month doctor's checkup today, so hour and a half drive to the doctor's office, 2 hours at the doctor's office, hour and a half drive home. My day's shot. So that's the reason there was no lunch video. It was like I left the house at 20 after 8 this morning. I didn't get home until 2. So yeah, that was it. But wasn't a whole lot of new stuff to discuss over lunch or anything. So I got home, first thing I did was like, oh my God, what did I miss? This is usually, when I'm away, that's usually when the world blows up and, trying to figure out what's going on. Fortunately, it was kind of quiet. So that was it. So we will do our normal thing tonight, but hopefully people are finding it. I don't know. You guys tell me. Maybe you've seen this. If you've got channels of your own, if you've seen this on other channels. I'm looking here, and we got 1,159 people watching right now. And for those of you guys who've been here long enough, usually when we'll do these prize drawings, we'll have 2,500 people here. And I was just wondering, because I've noticed it on some of the channels I follow, but just a question for y'all. Are you finding less time to watch videos? I'm just wondering why not as many people here. The views, not only on my channel, are down, but on others. Is the content not of interest? Or just, I'm honestly asking you guys, is there something I need to change? Or is it just the fact that the weather's finally got nice and we get a chance to go outside, and because of crappy weather for so long, we're scrambling to catch up with all the yard work that we've got to do for not being able to do it for raining all the time. So, like I said, honest question. So if you guys, I'm seeing a whole lot of less times. Summertime, okay. Burnout from all the news, Paladin. Yeah, I'll agree with you there. Okay, sometimes I know I get off on tangents and I start talking about things that you guys don't want to talk about. That's fine, And as I've said to you many times, if you all see something that might be of interest to talk about, let me know. Shoot me an email, and if it's something that I can dig into and find some details on and maybe clarify a little bit, you guys know the point of doing these. It's so that we all share information, we all learn from each other, do whatever, a little camaraderie and everything like that. But ultimately, the idea is, to learn more, to make ourselves all more self-sufficient. So that's the idea there. But that being said, we have a giveaway tonight. We talked about this. I mentioned this about a week ago. I think it was like last Wednesday, maybe it was even last Tuesday. I don't remember for sure. But Elliot over at Wellbots had a big sale on one of the Anchor solar coolers that I've reviewed before. And so he asked me to mention to y'all that there was a sale going on. And you know how Elliot works, like most of the other ones do too. It's like, okay, their way of compensating for Dimension is giving a prize in my case, you guys know I don't take paychecks from them or anything like that. So that's why I don't have to put the little sponsored content on here, because I don't get anything for it. So Elliot had us do it. So we're going to give away a Anchor solar cooler tonight. And I just want to remind everybody that you had to be a valid entry, you had to have the letter U in your entry, in your comment, and you had to have the state in which you lived in, and it had to be the lower 48. And again, as I mentioned to you guys all the time, why is it lower 48? It's a matter of shipping with batteries, because you can't put those on planes, and the slow boat to Hawaii or the slow boat to Alaska ain't gonna fly. So we kind of stick to the contiguous 48. I apologize to those of you guys in Alaska or Hawaii, but I don't make a lot of these rules. So go complain to the post office or whoever is overseeing shipping, if you will. So we will draw this live here in just a couple of minutes. Again, I will say to everybody, when I say it, and when the mods will put it, all in caps, and there's 7 of them, so you'll see it a bunch of times. When we say no more comments, that means do not comment unless you are the winner, okay? Because, again, with 1,339 of you in this place, I'm looking for one name. And y'all know how slot machine-y the chat room gets, so do not comment. Penalty for commenting, you get put in a 7-day timeout on the channel. So I've been asking for this for 2 years. Please, let's see if we could actually have one day where the mods don't have to kick somebody out. All right, so let me get the computer set. Flip the screen over here. And I'm going to have to move this so I can get it centered a little better so you guys can see what's going on. There we go. All right. So in there, I have the link to the video that you had to comment on. It's not links here. And so we will fetch. We do not include replies. Everybody, you guys know it's primary comments only, and we do not allow duplicates. So it is, everybody gets one entry. At this point, guys, no more comments, okay? Once you see the mods put it up, and I know there's a delay from when I say it to when you guys are doing it. Once the mods get it up there, there's Prep Rebels saying it, no more comments, Bass Ackward, Cat Lady, okay. Robert's got it. We've always got to have somebody. Bye, Mimic. Have a nice week. All right, as we count out the entries, let's see how many people we have entering, or at least how many comments. And we have 1,298 comments. So at this point, because we only had one person who can't follow instructions this week, we will pick our winner. And potentially it is Jan 1960 Hello from Missouri. Well, that covers everything because there's a U in Missouri. Thank you for all you do for this community, unlike some others. All right. Well, all right. I'll take that as a compliment. Jan 1960, you are tentatively our winner here. So I just need you to comment that you are here in the chat room. It is 8:09, so you have until 8:12 to say, I'm here. Looking for Jan 1960. As I'm trying to duck and look under my camera so I can see the screen. And I will tell everybody, like I always do, don't flip from your television to your phone or something like that, or your phone to your television or whatever real quick. Because if Jan's not here, we got to draw another name. It's a must be present to win. So, and we don't know if Jan is here, but she has 2 more minutes to state her presence. Otherwise, we'll do it again. Earth to Jan. Pam Hobson, have a nice week. R.S. Luby, have a nice week. You guys just eliminated yourself from the chance of winning if she's not here. So, looking for Jan 1960. I'll just remind everybody, just in case somebody comes up and says, the name in which you commented under that video must match the name that is in the chat room, okay? Don't tell me Jan 1960 is Butterfly Princess here. That doesn't fly. I'm not going to look for it. Dave Schott, have a nice week. We'll see you next week. All right. Jan 1960, you're in the final 60 seconds. My guess is Jan is not here, but we will give her till 8:12, and then we will try again. And it's always so depressing too, because somebody comes, oh my God, I forgot, and then they see they won. I mean, this is $1,000 prize, so not something to sneeze at for sure. All right, Jan, we're ticking down in the final seconds here. Tick tock, tick tock. I'm just waiting for the clock. And all right, so we will try this again. Sorry, Jan, time has run out. All right, let's flip this back over again and we'll go look again. Picking a new winner. Tammy TD50K. Love living in New York State, United States of America. There we go. We got it. The world is crazy and I feel safer in the USA than anywhere. That is a winner. Tammy TD50K. We need to see you here before 8:15. So let's see. Tammy TD50K. I'm here. There we go. Woohoo! I can move this thing back in front of me and not have to look around the camera anymore. All right. Congratulations, Tammy. You just won yourself an Anker solar cooler. If you will do me a favor, do yourself a favor, and email me your name, your physical mailing address, not P.O. Box, has to be physical because it's going to come FedEx, and your phone number. You can get that to me tonight. I will get it to Elliot. He will have it in the morning. Remember, Elliot's in Paris. Okay, so morning for him will be coming here in about 4 hours. And they will get that shipped out to you here this week. My guess is you will probably have it by first of the week. So you should be good there. But congratulations. All right, another one bites the dust. So let's get into Q&A. As per normal, if you've got questions for me, please put them in all caps in the chat room. It just makes it a whole lot easier for me to find who is asking me questions and who you guys are talking amongst yourselves. I wholeheartedly encourage you guys to ask each other questions in here. Again, that's the whole idea, okay? I don't have all the answers. I've never proclaimed to. Somebody will inevitably ask me how to grow okra. I'm not the guy to ask that, okay? I stick to what I know. If I don't know, I'm not arrogant enough to tell you I don't know. I will just tell you I don't know. So please, I encourage you to ask questions, and if you have an answer to one that you see, please tell everybody, answer that person, say, hey, your answer is whatever, go from there. The only rule that we have around here is to treat everybody in here, all your fellow listeners, and me, with respect. Difference of opinion is totally acceptable around here. You guys know that. Being rude, calling somebody names because they've got a different opinion to you is totally unacceptable. That is grounds for termination from the channel, and there ain't second chances, okay? I trust my mods to make those decisions. They do a very good job. That decision is final. And so the only thing I suggest is, engage brain before putting fingers in gear. That's all I'll say. So, all right, let's get into the Q&A. Let me get up to the top here and as close to the top as I can get and see what kind of questions we have. So, all right, as far as I can get. All right, that was content comments. Let's see. Okay. If everybody's telling me they're busy, okay, good. Then I know I'm not doing something silly. All right. People are less fearful of their future, so they watch less. That could be, okay? I don't know, considering everything that's going on right now, maybe not so much, but just saying. Okay. Let's try to find this. Those are all on that. Okay, Julie Clower says this. She goes, there's so much bad things going on. It just becomes so much. I totally get it. It gets very stressful, anxiety-driven for all of us, I think. It's like, what the hell's going on? She says, my husband and I try to watch everything you put out, but as the world keeps crapping, it does become harder to watch. I know. And I try to keep you abreast of what the important stuff is, but not dwell on them. And then I try to throw in some practical solutions. And I mean, I get it that it's not for everybody. Not everybody's interested in what I do last week, dividend paying stocks, or interested in Lyme disease prevention or anything like that. Some of the other stuff I did. I try to throw that stuff in there because I need a break sometime too from this crazy stuff. And there's other things going on. So what I kind of try to do is what I'm concerning myself with, I kind of try to bring it to you guys too. Okay, so you're kind of hearing about my day-to-day life. This is what I'm doing at the moment. It's like, oh, gee, you know what? I've got to deal with ticks at this point or whatever. So, all right. Somebody said they miss Saturdays. I get it, guys. I've got so much going on, and it just becomes overwhelming sometime to make 13, 14 videos a week, do 2 live streams. I got to have somewhat of a life myself, too. Plus, I'm trying to run a business, okay? It's like, eventually it got to the point where Mrs. P and I are like, PBJ's coming. My cousins are here this weekend, or this week. They just got here yesterday. It's Tuesday, not Saturday. So, I'm doing some family time, and we're still here doing this. So I get what you're saying, but this takes a lot of time too. So that's the only thing I got rid of. That was it. You're still getting the videos, the information as fast as I can keep it updated, doing this live stream. But I never intended to do a Saturday live stream in the first place when I started. It just kind of happened over the Christmas season that one year. But it just got to be too much. That's all. Just Smile. Do you think it makes sense to track or Google where No Kings is near me to stay aware with the head on a swivel? Yes. And I mean, that was kind of the silly thing. I thought about it after I recorded the video this morning. I'm talking about this the whole video and said, well, gee, I don't want to put the website up there because, I don't want to draw attention to them after I just spent 10 minutes talking about them. It's like, all right, sometimes when I'm trying to think at 4 o'clock in the morning, the brain ain't working that well. But yes, if you go to their website, there's a map on there that shows all the areas they are going to be. And it would be very advisable to see if they are going to be in your town or how close to your town they are going to be. For me, they're going to be almost an hour away. It's going to be the closest one because they'd probably find out maybe 6 people where I am that would even be potential attendees. But I think Union County went like 93% or 95% Trump. So yeah, they're not going to find a whole lot of, blue-haired, nose-ringed trannies on the in Union County. Not going to happen that way. So, okay. Norbert Muller, as soon as Canada becomes the 51st state, which is hopefully never, Alaska will be contiguous and eligible for the drawings. There you go. That would be true. I pray to God Canada never becomes the 51st state. I still think that's one of Trump's stupidest ideas that he came up with, because 2/3 of Canada is liberal. And I even tagged him on a comment I made on Twitter one time. I said, you do realize if Canada's the 51st state, you're not sitting in the White House, right? Because Canada overwhelmingly was supporting Kamala Harris. How many electoral votes are we going to give all the different provinces in California? Certainly not going to make the whole country one state, right? So, think about that. Oh, let's see. That'd be adding, net, you'd probably add a dozen senators and, I don't know, 30 or 40 representatives to the blue team. You want to make this country communist? Make Canada the 51st state, okay? And I understand there's some Canucks here too, but you guys know as well as I do, the majority of your country keeps voting in idiots like Trudeau and Mark Carney. So, yeah, your country would have easily voted in Kamala Harris. I think she would probably, hands down, be elected the dumbest presidential candidate in the history of the United States. Let's see. Little Hillside Homestead, watching on Roku most of the time. Answer to your question, my opinion is say what needs said. People's attention span is shorter due to all the social media. Yes, I agree. So, yeah, I just appreciate you guys telling me. Just, like I said, I listen to the feedback you guys give me. All right. And there's the whole congratulations. So that was the stuff that you guys asked before. Missy in North Carolina. Hi, Pinball. On one of your recent videos, you were talking about how you are sure we're going to hit hyperinflation. Can you explain what you think will happen with our homes in hyperinflation? Nothing. Okay? I mean, here's the deal. Any debt that you currently have is under contract. So it's not like they can say, gee, you bought a $400,000 house, you signed the contract, this was your payments. Now we have hyperinflation, we're going to now say it's an $800,000 house. No, that's not going to happen. And this is where it really gets weird, is because, and this is what the government's trying to do, is kind of inflate us out of debt, okay? Because remember this, the government's got the same issue. They owe $36.8 or $9 trillion. Well, if all of a sudden the price of everything doubles or the dollar gets cut in half, right? So now it takes $6 to buy a loaf of bread instead of $3, okay? Well, now all of a sudden everybody's going to go screaming to their boss, I need more money. We're in hyperinflation. The price of everything just doubled. I need my salary to double so I can keep up with the cost of living. Some companies will go, Yeah, we got double all our prices, so it makes sense if we want to keep our margins. I'm talking in a perfect world. Okay. Reality, company's not going to do it. All right. But let's say so your salary doubles. Well, great. Now instead of making $80,000 a year, now you make $160,000 a year. Your mortgage is still 400. Okay. So now all of a sudden it's got a lot easier to pay off your debt, which is the same thing that they talk about with the government. It makes it easier for the government to pay off its debt. This is where you hear all the stories about growing our way out of debt or inflating our way out of debt. The downside is we all know companies aren't going to double your salary. And we all know that's not going to happen as fast as the price of everything goes up. And if your salary doubles and then everything doubles again, it's not like you can go into your boss 2 weeks later and say, boss, now I need another doubling of my salary. That's where the downside is of it. Okay. And this is what but as for the current debts that you own, your car payment, your house payment, your student loans or whatever it is, unless it's a variable rate, okay, you're under contract on those. You better not be on variable rate anything, okay? You're under contract. Credit cards are a little different. Credit cards, they can raise rates on, just telling you, all right? But your mortgage, your car loan, stuff like that, those should be fixed rate, fixed term, yada, yada, yada. If we had hyperinflation, it'd actually be easier to pay off your house. The problem is it's going to be harder to pay your electric bill, your insurance bill, your gas bill, your food bill, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you're still going to come out negative. Okay. P. Lee J. Any good digital police scanner advice? There's one. I've got one. It's actually an app, and it's better than any standalone scanner. I've got a scanner. I've showed you guys that before. The downside to this, the local one, the standalone police scanner that I've got, is it'll pick up what's in the local area. I'm out in the woods. So provided the sheriff is on this side of the mountain when he's transmitting or something, I'm trying to pick it up over an antenna, right? The digital one that's on the phone, and I can't look at it because obviously I'm using the phone, okay, is much better now, because if I want to pick up the scanner out of Los Angeles and listen to everything that's going on right now, I can do it, okay? In a real world situation, as long as the cell phones are still up or as long as the internet's still up, I can hear what's going on in, say, Knoxville or Morristown or Middlesboro or Oak Ridge or something like that, all of which are an hour plus away from me, but that might give me an idea of what could potentially be coming toward me. So email me if you want the answer. I can look at it on my phone and I can tell you what it is. Like I said, I'm using the phone as a camera, so if I change the screen, we end the live stream. I don't want to do that. So, Alex, do I think Newsom will be arrested? No. Okay. I still think he's a world-class idiot, but even Tom Homan came out and the media, Tom Homan came out and said, no, I'm not arresting Gavin Newsom, because the media put words in Tom Homan's mouth about what's going on. Has Gavin Newsom done anything criminally? Technically, no. Okay. Morally bankrupt? Has he done anything that way? Oh, absolutely. Okay. If in case you didn't see, a federal court judge threw out his attempt to stop Trump from calling the National Guard this evening. So that's still going on. But no, Newsom's not going to get arrested unless he actually goes and commits a crime. Unfortunately, in this country, being stupid is not a jailable offense. But then again, we don't have enough jails to house all the stupid people. Lawrence, do I have any problems with turtles in the pond? I don't believe so. I mean, I know I've got frogs because I can hear them. My fish are all swimming around. So one time since we've had it dug, we found a box turtle in the backyard, and that was it. But they're not eating the fish. They eat the frogs. I don't care. But I'm not seeing them digging holes or anything like that. So no, I'm not having any problems like that. Carolyn Robbins, how was my strawberries this year? Not good. We had some, but last year, like I said, under my strawberry patch, I got about a 5-gallon bucket of strawberries. This year, I got maybe about 5 quarts. That was it. And it's just because we had such a cool, wet spring. It wasn't conducive for growing the strawberries. They weren't able to grow fast enough to subdue weeds that are going to grow anywhere, because I mean, obviously with strawberries, because they're runners, I can't put landscape fabric down. So eventually I don't even know what kind of weed is, it's kind of a grass, eventually outgrew the strawberries, and that was it, because there wasn't enough sunlight, we didn't have enough warmth and enough sun, we had so much rain for the strawberry plants themselves to get big enough and shade out anything else from sprouting. So was not a good strawberry year. It's been a good blackberry year. We're just starting to get blueberries on, and those are doing good. They're starting to ripen. We've had the blueberries on for a month or so already. Actually picked my first 2 cucumbers today. Got a bunch of onions that are near the size of baseballs right now, so I finally got the right onions for growing here. As much as they kept telling us we're a intermediate day onion, and I kept getting onions that were that big, like, I'm gonna try a short day onion. Sure as shit, I got full-size big onions. It's okay. All right. Old Biscuit, I personally would be interested in hearing stories of Russia that Mrs. P has passed along to you, especially when the Soviet Union collapsed. We've talked about things like that. I've said the same thing. I said I'd love to hear stories about that too. You got to remember, in 1991, when the Soviet Union fell, Mrs. P was 14. Okay, so it wasn't like she really knew a whole lot about getting a job or anything like that. I mean, she was still in high school, or freshman in high school at that point. We talk about the time between, I'd say 1991 and roughly 1998, which was when the country was trying to regain its footing. That she's got some interesting stories. That's the coming out of the Soviet era, but she really wasn't old enough to know life that much under the Soviet era. And even then, when she was even a tween, those are the Gorbachev days. It wasn't like she was there, under Yuri Andropov or Nikita Khrushchev or anything like that. So, not quite as iron-fisted. Okay. Andy Hoffman, can we give California away? I'd be happy to. But we produce so much of the food. Trust me, California, you aren't worth the trouble that you cause. There's cost benefits, the cost California is for the rest of the country, and I'm not just talking about financially, I'm talking about morally. Okay, California costs way too much to the rest of the country that significantly outweighs any benefit they bring us. Okay. Von Mousetrap, your thoughts on the Maryland person's outcome? I'm assuming you're talking about the illegal, what's his name, Abrega, who was down in CCOT. Will he stay or will he go again? And are you sure you don't grow okra? I'm absolutely certain I don't grow okra. Okay. And he will be gone. This is fine. Democrats wanted him back to get his day in court or whatever. Fine. Getting his day in court here in Nashville. Okay. And as soon as they find him guilty on God knows how many felonies, they're going to put his ass back in a plane and send him back to CCOT and say, rot here, you're done, tough, okay? Yeah. I mean, sure, he's back in the United States temporarily. He will never see freedom again. Ginger Gal, I am new and want to buy silver and gold. How much of each would you start with? I can't give you that answer. I don't know your financial condition, okay? Are you a multimillionaire? Are you working a part-time job? I can't tell you any of that. What I would tell you is exactly what you're saying. Start, okay? Feel it out. Get used to it. Go buy a couple of $100 worth of silver, okay? Go buy 10 ounces of silver or something like that. At that point, that's almost $400 at this point. And go buy 5 ounces of silver. Start following the silver prices and start educating yourself on what drives the silver market. Start looking at what different, the ones I talk about, but obviously there are others, JM Bullion, SD Bullion, silver.com, go to AppMex, and start looking at them and get used to their websites. Oh, this is Doc's Deals. Those come out on Monday. If I'm looking at, man, I'll buy something over the weekend, maybe I'll wait until Monday, because it's not like silver's pricing any different over the weekend, and see they've got a sale where 50% off premiums. I bought some silver last week I think it was from SD. It was constitutional silver quarters that was no premium, buying at spot. Like, yeah, I'll take a roll of quarters. Okay, roll of quarters, 7.5 ounces or something like that of silver. Okay, but all right. So I added some constitutional silver, pre-1965 silver, to my hoard of silver. That's going to be important to have too. So I can't answer how much of each, but I'd say if you're just starting, start with silver, okay? And when you're buying, stick to constitutional silver, so dimes, quarters, half dollars, dollars, whatever. Most of what you're going to get is dimes and quarters, okay? Just telling you that's the way you want to go. Stick to silver rounds, 1 ounce pieces of silver. When you get to, or so 1 ounce bars, okay, either way. Do not go into the fractional stuff. I know, but I can only afford such and such. I get that, okay? The problem is when you start figuring out what you're paying for fractional silver and fractional gold, 100 grams or a quarter of an ounce or whatever, extrapolate the number out to how much it is for an ounce, and then realize how much you are paying. Oh, geez, silver's at $3,600, but if I bought it in quarter ounce pieces, I only paid $4,500 for it. You're going, yeah, okay, I need silver to go up 25% before I break even. Okay, that's where I'm saying don't buy the fractional gold, buy silver instead. Stick to 1 ounce rounds and 1 ounce bars. And again, use the silver to gold ratio for yourself. Okay, which historically, economically, okay, it would be about 80 to 1. I personally use 100 to 1 for mine. For every time I own 100 ounces of silver, then it's time to buy 1 more ounce of gold. Okay, that's it. So I've got 100 ounces of silver for every ounce of gold I have. And that's just how I do it, but that's me, okay? Pick your own. If you want to do the traditional economic 80 to 1 figure, go that way. If you want to do the what's in the ground figure, do it 16 to 1, okay? There's only 16 times as much silver as there is gold in the world, okay? Which tells you how undervalued silver is. But, I can't give you how much, but start with silver. Learn about it. That's it. Michelle Chiancone, do I think that we will get locked down since riots are spreading everywhere? Maybe in particular cities. They're not going to lock me down here. Even if they did something in Knoxville, still the stupid people, as soon as they walked out of Knoxville and hit any of the collar counties or whatever, they're going to be pushed back by people with the brain real quick. Sure, they who knows, they could lock down parts of LA, I mean, as if the wildfires, from a couple of months ago didn't burn everything up. They need the residents to finish the job, completely wipe out the city. Yeah, they might put curfews in. They might have institute martial law in some of these cities. It's possible. Saturday's going to be real telling, and we'll see what happens there. Okay. Mainly Maximus. We talked about the website earlier about no kings. Okay. We shot to the bottom, so let's get back to where we were. Oops. Hang on. Charles Goki, sorry, I missed the super chat. Appreciate that. $10 toward a night out with Mrs. P. How about 10 more people do the same? Yeah, Mrs. P and I don't do a whole lot of nights out. It's in the cost of what a restaurant is anymore. It's like, forget it. Used to be $30. You go out for a halfway decent meal, Chili's, Applebee's, something like that. Then all of a sudden went up $50. Then all of a sudden when it was like $70 to go to Applebee's, I'm like, this ain't worth it. No, sorry. Ron Williams, what are my thoughts on switching from an electric provider to a solar energy provider to lower my electric bill? I'm not sure I'm understanding the question. I know there are places in the country where you have a choice of who your electric company is. So maybe that's what you're asking, that you've got an option for a traditional coal-powered, hydro-powered, nuclear-powered Commonwealth Edison or, something like that versus, First Solar. I don't know, I'm just making something up. I can't really give you an answer because I've never looked into what either one would entail. The only thing again, I'll say about solar, because I've got my own solar in the house here, and it runs the house most of the time. But every once in a blue moon, I've got to juice the systems. In other words, get on the grid and recharge my batteries, because we had 3 or 4 days of very cloudy days or rain or whatever, where I didn't generate enough solar energy to replenish the batteries for what I use during the day. Or you get a day where it's very heavy use. I mean, my kitchen plugs are on the, one of the circuits. Well, so is my coffee maker. So is my microwave. So is our air fryer. So is Mrs. P's teapot. And all those, all of a sudden you're going, well, we made, instead of 2 cups of coffee, 6 cups of coffee today. Or my dehydrator's on there. That one will do it. You start looking at that, go, crap, how do we suck a lot of air out? It's like, oh, well, we cooked dinner in the air fryer, and I had 2 cups of coffee, and she had 2 cups of coffee, but, we had to defrost whatever meat was in the microwave, and we're also dehydrating garlic. It's like, that would wipe it out. So, as I've said many times, multiple ways of doing things. I'm still on the grid. I don't use as much because I've got my solar, but if the grid goes out, I've got solar. If the solar goes out, I got the grid. Just giving you that. Carol, thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate that. What the hell is this one? Prep Rebel, you smartass. Here's a bonus ad on Charles Goki's super chat for you and Mrs. B to go out for a nice date night. Well, thank you both. Appreciate that, guys. All right. I got to find where we were again. Hang on. I just hit the wrong button to close the chat. All right. Let's get back to questions here. Good comment by Prep Rebel right here. Stay away from goldbacks. And the question before, yes, goldbacks are a massive waste of money. I mean, enormous. I did the math on this one time about the amount of gold that is in a goldback and what you were paying for the per ounce or whatever it is, the value. You're paying like triple what if somebody said to you right now, hey, you know what? We'd like to sell you gold. We want to sell it to you for $11,000 an ounce. Would you buy it? No. But if you buy gold back, that's what you're paying. It's at least when I did this a couple of years ago, it was nuts. It was like you were paying 3 times face value by the ounce for the gold back. Yeah, stay away from gold backs. Nellie, does my state tax silver when I buy it? Honestly, I want to say no, but I'm going to have to go look real quick because I don't want to give you the wrong answer. So I will look at my purchase. Yeah, fortunately, I bought that silver right before the market went silly, too. All right, hang on. I'm trying to get in here. Recent order, 6/3/25. I will just double check. No, at least I'm looking at my order was from SD Bullion. I ordered it $10 face, 90% U.S. silver quarters, paid $256.89 for them. No shipping and handling, no tax. So that was it. So that was it. The market price of silver was $34.49. Today it closed at $36.78. Yeah, not bad. 2 1/4 up in when I get them. I think they were delivered Saturday. So yeah, I'll take that. All right. David Haley, going to be a protest in Nashville. Go figure. Supposed to be one in Gallatin. I wouldn't be surprised if a dozen people show up to that one. Looking at where some of these protests are, and you can tell this is completely staged, if you will. Just like the riots. Miraculously, there were pallets of cinder blocks delivered to the middle of a street somewhere again. But I looked around this area, and okay, this area has a larger Hispanic population or a larger liberal population. Yeah, we'll do something there. This one is a large conservative population. Nope, nowhere near it. You look at the map, and the New England is just every town has got a protest set up. Then you go out to Kansas. There's like one in the entire state. So this is all publicity stunts. This is it. It's who knows? I forget the name of the group that's doing this, Anonymous or something like that, I think it was, is setting this up. It's probably Soros money, but we can't prove it. But those people won't get their hands dirty. They want you to go and get arrested and have to pay court costs and legal fees for, being there and getting arrested. So you get to, while they get the press for it, because damn well the media is going to be mostly peaceful protests as everything's burning around them. Okay. So, yeah, it's no different than that whole Greta Thunberg flotilla to Gaza. Oh, the Israelis captured me. They kidnapped me. No, dummy. You're sailing in international waters and you're going into their ocean space, and they're at war at the moment. No, do you have a visa to come into Israel? No. Guess what? You get deported. Okay, that's how it works. Caveman, look, Pinball, pray for the lady at the Humane Society in your town. Her husband has a bad case of cancer. Crap. Okay, I'm going to have to go up there. There's 3 of them that I deal with up there. So if you know who, let me know. Just shoot me an email. Robert agreeing with me there. Goldbacks are a scam, period. Any questions? See first sentence. There you go. Yeah, then Robert is absolutely 100% correct. Cora Stansfield, thanks for talking about the No Kings map. I just looked it up, and there will be one within 20 minutes for me. Yeah. Like I said this morning, I'm not encouraging you to hide from them at all, okay? I'm not encouraging you either to go get in their face. What I'm saying is do not let them take the moral superiority route and say, oh, look, they're all afraid of us. Now, trust me, I'm not afraid of a bunch of 98-pound weaklings, okay? Or a bunch of guys in dresses. I'm certainly not afraid of you, okay? I'm just not stupid enough to go get arrested. I'm not going to start something with you. You start something with me, I guarantee you it ain't going to be me who's getting hauled off in an ambulance, okay? That's not a threat, that's a fact. But don't even acknowledge them, okay? Just be aware of where they are. If you got to drive past them, screw them, okay? Now, they throw a brick at your window, that's what your friend on your hip is for, okay? Sorry, I've got, stand my ground rights, castle doctrine rights. Your car in most states is considered castle doctrine. I'm defending myself. Hope you got concealed carry insurance, but you'll be okay. Look at these cops. I'm not encouraging this. I'm just saying, do not put up with the shit from them. Okay. There we go. Whoops. And of course, as soon as I found the question, it shot to the bottom. Hang on. I see Cece says I skipped her question. I didn't do it on purpose, Cece. Sometimes when I say a chat to the bottom, that's the chat room, I can only scroll back up so far. And, if you go try to scroll up to the beginning of your chat, you can't get there anymore, okay? And I'm the same way for me. So if you found in that's the thing. If I haven't answered your question in about 15 minutes, ask it again. That's all I'm going to say. I try to get everything unless I've already answered the question. I didn't do it on purpose, I promise you. J. Boo 54 in Pennsylvania. You can sometimes pick up quality gold jewelry at some yard sales because a lot of people don't know if it's real. Yeah, you can. Gold jewelry. I'm saying, yeah. You find somebody selling a 24-karat necklace and they want $2 for it. Buy it, okay? Then take it to one of these We Buy Gold places. Sell it for the $50 they're going to give you, and then go buy real gold, gold and silver coins or something like that. I wouldn't be one that's saving the jewelry, okay? Because in any sort of situation, SHTF or not, never are you going to run into a situation where somebody's going to go, I'll trade you this for 2 links of that chain. It's just not going to happen, okay? Besides the fact of needing hard assets, you need recognizable assets. Plaid Lad said he sold nearly 2,200 ounces of silver at work plus 7 100-ounce bars. I'm guessing that means you work in a coin shop. And that would tell you right there what's going on. If he sold 2,200 troy ounces of silver, start calculating that in pounds, guys. He sold what? I don't know, 130 pounds of silver today, right? Ladies, there's probably some of you that weigh 130 pounds. It ain't me. J-Boo again pulled up the No Kings map. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Let's see. Scott Bonata, not a question. Mango64 said you may never sell your silver. You can guess why. I look at silver and gold as this. Silver and gold to me is my hedge to the world blowing up, okay? Then I've got some physical asset that is usable. I'm hoping that I never have to do anything with it, and the day they stick me in a pine box, PBJ, inherits some gold and silver. That's what I hope. I'm hoping I never have to cash it in. I hope it's just an insurance policy for me that she can cash in on later. That's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is now I've got hard assets because the economy just tanked. Okay, so it's a good hedge for a lot of things. That's why I have it. But everybody has got to have their own reasons. Gigi's Garden would be awesome if torrential rain came Saturday at select locations. Yeah, because we know that because liberals melt in the rain. You know, they're afraid of the cold, they're afraid of the hot, they're afraid of the rain, they're afraid of the wind, they're afraid of their own shadow. But for some goofy reason, they stand there and say, shoot me with rubber bullets. I mean, they're collectively, if you went to every one of these No Kings protests, collectively between every one of them, you might find enough brain cells to fill a thimble. Wallace Sullivan, do I think Trump will deny Newsom any federal funding for fixing and repairing the physical and excessive cost because of the riots? That's a good question, because we already know the battles that Trump has had by trying to cut off funding to Columbia or Harvard, you know, and I mean, where every one of these politicians gets off thinking, we're just going to sue the president. We're just going to sue the president. I mean, and kudos to the judge today who told Gavin Newsom to go pound sand, okay? Because it's getting to the point of stupid where Gavin Newsom thinks that he can sue the president to get a court order to stop him from doing the duties in which, the number one duty in which the presidency is, and that is control of the military. Okay, commander-in-chief, right? It does. Nowhere is the president known as the businessman-in-chief, the negotiator-in-chief, the farmer-in-chief, but yes, he is known as the commander-in-chief. That is the number one responsibility of the president. And Gavin Newsom's like, I don't think he can do that. I'm sorry, Gavin Newsom, you are as dumb as the puddle that the grease that your hair is slicked back came from. Lefty, last year slugs devastated my garden and nothing worked. Added ducks this year and it's working great. Yeah, ducks, there's a good idea. As long as the ducks don't fly away, hey, cool, no problem. Kill two birds with one stone. The slugs don't eat your cabbage and you don't have to pay for the duck food. So that works out well. Let's see. Looks like had enough 6756. What are the best survey websites? The only one that I've ever found that's worth the shit is Opinion Outpost. The rest of them, you spend way too much time for nothing. Opinion Outpost, you can actually make a little bit in a relatively short period of time. Lori Diaz, I always fly flag on my farm. What about flying Old Glory on your vehicle Saturday if you go near protest areas? In my opinion, don't. I understand why, okay? You know, as a big middle finger to all these America-hating protesters. The reason I say don't is, let's say something happens. Let's say they throw a brick through your car window, okay? Worst case scenario, you got a broken car window. Or, I mean, best case scenario, you got a broken car window. Worst case scenario, it hits somebody in the car and now you're in the hospital or you get in a car accident or whatever it is. And then you know damn well they're going to have some attorney that's going to come up and say, you flying the flag was triggering to them, so it's your fault and they were defending themselves. And so then you're going to have to beat down that. I guess the best thing I can say, know where they are, pay attention to them, don't give them the time of day, But don't, if they get in your way, then do like all those videos, grab the guy by the scruff of the neck and drag his scrawny ass off the side of the road. Fine, no problem, okay? That I'm good with. But if they start something, finish it, but don't egg them on. The best thing the country can do is ignore them, and maybe one of these days they'll be like, we're going to go away because this is a waste of time and money. So, all right. And on that note, guys, we're like 15 seconds till 9 o'clock. So I will cede the floor to Jason. Have a good evening, guys. We will see y'all in the morning. Pinball out.